concept behind bebop scales is actually pretty simple. Let me show you with an example. Let's say I have the C major scale paired with a C major 6 chord. If we play the major scale using eighth notes, and I look at the notes on the strong beats, we get C, E, G, B, D, F, A, and C. So the strong beats outline this chord. As you can hear, this is not a great sounding chord. And yes, on the first measure, we do get a cool C major 7, but if we extend the line, we outline a D minor 7 chord on the second measure, which doesn't work great over a C6 or a C major 7. So many players started wondering if there was a way to transform a scale into something that will always outline the current chord when they improvise. And the most straightforward solution was to add a passing tone, because that would create an 8-note scale that would fit inside an even number of beats. So if we take the major scale and then we add a flat 6, we turn it into an 8-note scale. This is known as the major bebop scale. Now if you look at the notes on the strong beats, you get a C6 chord. And on the second measure, we get the exact same thing, because this scale has 8 notes. Even if you play all 16th notes, you're still outlining a C6 chord across the measure. So the major bebop scale is just a major scale with a passing tone between the 5th and 6th degrees. So your first exercise is going to be playing the scale up. And then of course, back down again. I also added 2 more exercises using 16th notes. Cool thing about the bebop scale is that if we start the scale on any of the chord tones, we're still outlining the same C6 chord. Now we're going to start the scale on the 3rd, going up. And then down. Now on the 5th. And finally on the 6th. This is very useful because you learn how to start your lines on different degrees of the scale. So here's the question. Can we do that for dominant chords? And of course we can. On dominant chords, we can start with the Mixolydian scale, since this is the 5th mode of the major scale, and then add the major 7 to the Mixolydian scale to turn it into a dominant bebop scale. Now we're outlining a dominant 7th chord. So let's practice the same steps to master this scale. And of course, you can do that for Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, or any scale that you want. But today we're going to focus on these 2 scales, the major bebop and the dominant bebop. Now, if you're smart about this approach, you can start creating more angular lines that use this same principle. Something really easy to play is starting the bebop scale and then add a leap on an upbeat to a non-chord tone from the scale. Something like this. This uses the same principle of making sure that on the strong beat, we have a chord tone. The cool thing is that this is gonna work no matter which chord tone we start the line on. I'll add these lines to the exercise list for this lesson so you can practice them. But if you already own Tessitura, you can explore lines like this forever, and it's really easy to do. Look at the step skip pattern for the line that we've just practiced. It's all negative ones with just a 3 here. Now look at what happens if I change the 3 to a 5. Now the leap skips to the next non-chord tone, E. This line uses the same concept, so it's going to work starting on any chord tone. Remember, these bebop scales are all 8-note scales, and the chord tones are on every other note of the scale. So every 2 notes, we're back on a chord tone. If I want, I can insert the leap here, and it still follows all the rules and gives us another cool bebop line. The trick is to have an even number of -1s, or 1s for that matter, and then insert an odd number in the opposite direction. So I can use all 1s and a -3 like this. And I know it's going to create another line that works great on dominant chords. I mean, if you want, you can keep exploring bebop lines forever with this tool. Of course, it's important to practice these lines. Just having the app come up with new lines sort of defeats the purpose. Your goal should be always to master them. A more advanced example is to take the regular descending dominant bebop and insert escape tone A here. Now we've displaced the E by an 8th note, so we're shifting the rest of the line. So in order to recover the shift, we can omit one of the notes. Let's omit the C, since it's a non-chord tone and a really bad tension to use on a G7 chord. Now we would get this. We're still using the dominant bebop, but now we're inserting leap tones, and we're making sure the bebop principle is conserved by omitting one of the notes. So here's the exercise. I hope that was helpful and you learned something new about the bebop scale from a completely different perspective. But remember, in the end, it's always the work that you put in that matters most. As always, all of our members will receive a PDF with all the steps, and there's a backing track at medium tempo coming up for you in this video. If you own Tessitura Pro Scales, start practicing by loading any exercise from this lesson. Tessitura will keep track of your progress and save it for you automatically. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next time.